Okay, so we're up to Vayechi, the last parsha. So this Hachaim is actually a big piece, a big Hachaim. We're going to break it up into a few pieces. But the Hachaim discusses a lot of different things, very interesting, and gets into the concept. Two main concepts that we're going to focus on for this year is, number one, why do people need to sleep? Right? What's the secret of sleep? Why did Hashem create humans and animals with the need to sleep? So obviously, people are going to say because they have to rest their bodies, because they're tired. They have to, flush out their brains from, whatever stuff they experience during the day. It helps the brain organize. That's all correct, but why did Hashem do it that way? Hashem could have made us very easily without ever getting tired. Correct? So what was the purpose? What was the function? What is the function of sleep on a ruchnistic level? So that's one of the things that Hachaim is going to touch on. And the other thing that Hachaim is going to touch on, it's all included, is why the earlier generations of the Rishon, Noach, all lived 600, 700, 800, 900 years. And when it came to Avraham Avinu, it suddenly dropped to 180, and then eventually dropped Moshe Rabbeinu 120, and then even today's days, people live Baruch Hashem to the 80s and 90s, but not anywhere where it used to be. What happened? What did Hashem see that he decided to change his mind? Kaviyachol. Hashem doesn't change his mind, obviously, but what was the reason that Hashem switched it? So we know that in the beginning of Parshat Noach, Hashem said, as actually, I think, yes, in Parshat Noach, Hashem said that the Adam Ra Ma'od, and because they have too much time in their hands, right? So, what was the original Kaviyachol thought process that Hashem gave people the ability to live 800, 900, 1,000 years? Correct? So, this is something that the Hachaim is going to touch on. Some of it is deep Kabbalistic ideas, which is above my head, but I'll try to explain it to the best of my abilities. But at least we'll get to the pshat of what the Hachaim wants to discuss. So the pasuk begins, "Vayikruvu Yemei Yisrael Lamos." This is in Perek Mem Zayin, pasuk Chavtes, that the days of Yisrael, which refers to Yaakov Avinu, was getting close to die. Now, on an interesting side note, by Avram and Yitzchak, and pretty much by everybody else, it doesn't say that their days, that they were coming to the end of their days. It says they died. What changed by Yaakov? So Rashi says one pshat. Another pshat is that up until Yaakov Avinu, nobody ever got sick. Which means the only two ways a person died was either he was killed or he sneezed, and when he sneezed, they died. And that's one of the reasons why a person sneezes today, they say Gesundheit, right? Because, 4,000 years ago, a person who sneezed was dumb. Yaakov Avinu said that it's not fair because this actually causes two problems. Number one is that a person can never do tshuva because he'll never know when he's going to die. And number two, he can't, get his house in order. He can't, prepare a will. He can't instruct his children how to continue. So Yaakov Avinu davened that people should actually get sick. So that's what the pasuk is telling us. Vayikruvu Yemei Yisrael Lamos. Yaakov Avinu started to get the feeling that his days were drawing to an end. So now, says the Hachaim, Kvar kasafti b'samach minayin yoda. How did Yaakov Avinu know this? V'Ramban kosav sheyoda mihargoshas afsus kochosov. He started to feel that his strength was starting to slip away. And since, as we explained, that he davened for that, he got the understanding that was a siman that his days were starting to come to an end. However, the Hachaim says, I don't like this explanation. A person can live for a very long time after he starts to get weak. Right? So it's true that Yaakov Avinu started to feel weak, right? But he could have lived for 30 more years. So how do you know that in actuality his days was coming to a close? And Rashi even adds, I don't know if it's Rashi here, but I definitely saw it somewhere, that Yitzchak lived till 180. Avram lived till 175. Yaakov at this point was 137. So there was no reason for him to suspect that he was anywhere close to the days where his father passed away, right? A person normally starts to get nervous, around, when his father lived or when his mother lived. So there was no reason for him. So the Hachaim says, how did Yaakov Avinu know that his days were coming to an end? We know that it's possible, says the Hachaim, that Yaakov felt certain things that happen to a person before he dies. 30 days before a person dies, his godly image starts to go away. And the Zohar brings a story with Reb Shimon Bar Yochai that he saw that the godly image of Rabbi Yitzchak, it's a spiritual thing, tzaddikim could see it, departed from him, and he knew that the Rabbi Yitzchak was going to pass away. Now it's true that most people aren't able to, feel this. Tzaddikim know, especially when it comes to their own life, when it is getting close to them to pass away. So Yaakov Avinu understood on a ruchnistic level how he knew he was going to die. Now the Hachaim is going to get into the concept that we started in the introduction, how a person knows, or how tzaddikim know. The words vayikru yemei, the Hachaim says, really is teaching us a secret. When it comes to the end of a person's days, can he say that his days are right? You don't say the days are coming to an end. You say the person's coming to the end of his life. So the Hachaim says, "Achin kavanas hakosov hu api mashakosov isholakim kadeshu." The Hachaim gives an unbelievable title to the Arizal. He calls him an isholakim, who is holy. Haloi hu Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. Zechet Tzadik Kosh Lavracha. Umetzasi ki sidrishenu b'sefer Kehilas Yaakov v'zelishana. In addition, we could find this specific concept of the Arizal in a sefer called Kehilas Yaakov. Now there's a famous sefer by the Stipler called Kehilas Yaakov, but there's a different big Kabbalah sefer called Kehilas Yaakov that was written by Rav Yaakov Tzamach, who wrote a lot of different things from the Arizal. V'amnan, we know, Yadatem Ischalkus Anashamas L'Kamen Tzitzis. We spoke about this many, many times, that when Adam Rishon did an Avera of Chet Hadas, he broke the perfect world. And he caused the Kedusha to be scattered all over the world, to be trapped by the Tzad HaTumah. In addition, Adam HaRishon was a compilation of all the 613 root neshamas of Klal Yisrael. So, I always give the example, if you ever see a picture, right, you look far away, you see the picture, but as you come close, it's actually 1,000 pictures within one big picture. Correct? So what they do is they take 5,000 little pictures, and they put it together, and you see the Baba Sali, you see the Lubavitcher Rebbe, you see the Chazon Ish, right? So the similar concept, if you can imagine, Adam Rishon's neshama was made up of 600,000, little neshamas. Together they formed the tzura of Adam Rishon, the spiritual Adam Rishon, before he did the Avera. When he did the Avera, all those neshamas were broken, and our job is to unite the Kedusha with the neshamas, as we're going to see, to rebuild Adam Rishon to where he was initially. Okay? So now, every individual has two things that he has to do. Number one, he has to work on gathering all the different Kedusha Dika sparks that were broken, and in addition, he has to fix his neshama that Adam Rishon broke. And every day in his life, he has to fix something else that was broken, right? For example, every day there's a different avodah. This is a very deep Kabbalistic, right, idea, but essentially a person can say, wait a minute, every day I daven Shachris, every day I daven Mincha. Like, what's the difference between today and yesterday and today? No, every day is a different avodah that you have to do that is not corresponding to the day's avodah before. It could be that you're on a much higher level today than you were yesterday, so you're able to accomplish more. It's also a different part of the day, a different part of the year, right? In addition, Sukkot of this year that you did the Lulav and Esrog, it's true you get a mitzvah, but what it accomplished in the upper worlds is a lot different than what you did the year before, and the year before, and the Gilgul before. So every day, every mitzvah and every avodah, not only do you get a mitzvah, but it also accomplishes something else based on the day of the year, the cycle of the year, and cycle of the month, so on and so forth. So with that understanding, so therefore the Hachaim says, "Kofi mispar hanitzaitis shalatzelam," according to the amount of nitzaitis that your neshama has, kach mispar yimei chayav. A person is told, you're going to live for 95 years. 95 times 365, whatever that comes out to be, that's how many sparks your neshama is made up of, and every day you have to fix another spark. Correct? So far so good? And every day there's a different corresponding spark that you have to fix to. The day that you do it, it's very good. The day that you don't do the mitzvah, nisha pogum nitzatzahu shalatzel mukeneged. In your neshama there's a little defect, because that day, that mitzvah, that chelik of your neshama, you didn't fix. For example, just to give an example, let's say today is Tuesday. On Tuesday, you have to fix a certain part of your neshama that corresponded to the mitzvah of Tillin. And if you did that, the right pinky, the tip of the right pinky, right, would be complete. It wouldn't be black, would be or. And if a person didn't do it, so his hand could be or, except for that little spot on his pinky. Just to give an example, and every mitzvah every day would correspond to a different spiritual limb. How very enlightening is this introduction to the eyes of the wise. This is Hachaim rarely uses such a flowery language because he's going to reveal to us tremendous secrets. We'll just say it outside a little bit first, just to get a little bit of an understanding. Very good. A person did the mitzvah you're supposed to do. A person learned the Torah you're supposed to do. A person gave the tzedakah you're supposed to do, right? For example, Reuven meets Shimon. Reuven gives Shimon tzedakah. It's not the same spiritual effect that when Reuven meets Levi for tzedakah, because they have two different neshamas. So they each do a different reaction, and so on and so forth. So very nice. So now that he did it, what happens to it? So the Hachaim teaches us that when a person sleeps, his neshama goes up to Shemayim. When his neshama goes up to Shemayim, it draws up all the sparks that he fixed. If he would never sleep, he would never be able to draw up all the sparks that he fixed. So Hashem created a system that's called Aliyas Neshama. Right? How does the average person do Aliyas Neshama? When he sleeps, part of his neshama goes up to Shemayim. When his neshama goes up to Shemayim, it brings along with it all the mitzvahs, and hopefully not averos that it did on that day. So whatever it did to fix that day's neshama, it brought it up to Shemayim, and now it's clicked back in its place. So that's what the Hachaim is going to say inside, and that is the secret of sleep. And that's why animals have to sleep, because they also have different things that they do, that they help. Right? Obviously not as much as humans, and for sure not as much as Yidden, but that's what they do. Now we're going to see the secret of sleep. Because that is to elevate the spark that was done on that day. And this is the secret that sleep is 1/60th of death. Because everybody understands when a person dies, his neshama goes up to Shemayim. Correct? When he sleeps, 1/60th of his neshama goes up to Shemayim. Why? Because it's like it died. Now, obviously it didn't die, but it died enough that allows the neshama to go up, bring with it all the mitzvahs that it did and all the things that it fixed for that day, for that hour. Every hour there's a different sphera that corresponds to the world. You have to fix it, or different mazalos that affect the world, and that helps it put it back into place. Now obviously, you don't feel the difference because it's a little bit every day. But if you'd realize how you felt when you were 20 and how you felt when you were 60, there's a big difference. Why? Because hopefully over those 40 years, you raised up a lot of the spiritual kedusha that you needed to raise. That's why a person feels different. So as he gets closer to the end, he has nothing left to fix. So his body starts to get weaker and weaker because really his neshama is starting to depart every day. A 0.0001%, but it adds up. So when he's 90, right, most of his neshama is already up in Shemayim, and therefore that's how Yaakov understood that he was coming to the end, because he already finished his tikkun. Whatever he had to fix, especially when it came to Adam Rishon, he felt that he already fixed because he had no more strength. Why did he have no more strength? Because his neshama was already in Shemayim. Or at least 99.999% of his neshama was in Shemayim. And therefore that's the secret of sleep. That's the secret of how Yaakov Avinu knew that his days were coming to an end.